Okay, here's one for you as we stare at the beautiful view out of my window where I do most of my best work on my bed, my laptop. I decided to just kind of check the weather, to see like what I'm up against rain for the week and see what I can get done. And the weather looks really good. We're going to get a little bit of rain, which is nice for the plants, but we're also going to get some sunny weather. Look, it's going to be 70 degrees on the 23rd. That'll be really nice. These temperatures to me are really warm for this time of year. We had a little video on my thoughts on global warming. I had no idea what kind of can of worms I was opening up. There's a lot of opinion on that. I'm just telling you what it is. I'm perversely kind of excited about it because I'll be able to grow mangoes, and my avocados don't freeze as bad, and my bougainvillea does better. But I do know that it's highly disruptive to the earth and everything else, and so I'll probably get people who hate me no matter what I say. But anyway, yeah, overall it's a bad thing, obviously, and especially if it just doesn't bottom out, just keeps going. But anyway, I'm seeing plants all over that are like when I was a kid, these plants would not have survived. Like soft tip agave that literally melts with a 27-degree frost, like hard frost, not even a hard freeze. Those things are popping up all over the place. They're everywhere now, and they're not getting damaged in these past few winters. I don't know. I mean, I'm enjoying it because I sell tropical plants and I love tropical plants, and I like warmer weather. But again, don't hate me for loving tropical plants and weather that is better for them, and having to not wear parkas all the time. But anyway, I do remember extremely cold winters here as a kid and as a teenager, and freeze and frost all the time, and just dead plants. And it's just not happening anymore, it seems like. But something interesting, someone told me about a theory. Maybe you've heard of it. I don't know exactly how it works. I have to look into it more. I just heard of this theory, but as global warming kind of progresses, the Arctic loses lots of its ice. Somehow it creates a condition in which there's some polar vortex going on where instead of the jet stream running directly across the country like it historically has been, somehow a condition happens where it warms in the Arctic, thereby causing a fluctuation of the jet stream, whereby it creates a pressure differential, which takes the jet stream far up north and drives it straight south. And the way it was explained to me by a YouTube viewer, actually, which is really cool, I had never heard of this. I kind of looked into it a little bit. I need to research it more. But then he described that, or maybe he described, or I looked into it and read about it. It basically says all these tropical plant forms talk about this, and they're really mad because global warming is going to cause massive freezes in the southeast, counterintuitive to. So you're going to get a warmer world, and they'll be able to grow less tropical plants when they're really bummed about that. So far on the West Coast, it seems like we're not getting that problem. But what they describe is the jet stream coming down out of the north, directly down the middle of the country, and heading straight into Texas. And there's sort of a demarcated line where everything east of that point is going to be affected by this as the jet stream swings back. Let's see, from your vantage point, it would be like, yeah, it comes down north, hits Texas, and then boom, goes into the lower states, in the southeast states. And I thought that was really intriguing, and I read about it, and I thought, because apparently they've been having these kind of freezes more often. And and I do know in Texas, I know about what kind of plants grow there. But as I was reading my weather forecast, I kind of scrolled down, and I haven't really been paying attention to anything. And then I saw this right here. I didn't even read that. All I need to do is look at that. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. That pink, that's cold weather right there. So there's a massive freeze setting up right now that I didn't even know about over the middle of the U.S., and it basically is exactly as described by this polar vortex phenomenon, which is really interesting. And so we're going to watch this. Can I skip this? We're going to watch this thing play out, see what they say here.
You are about to experience the coldest air of your lifetime.
Look at this.
Now, over the next several days, we are expecting to break hundreds of records for cold temperatures. And that cold air is reaching all the way into Mexico. Now, combine that with strong winds, and things become even more dangerous. Check out these wind chills that are well below zero in so many locations. Dallas 12 below, Minneapolis 34 below.
So as you see here in Houston, there are, on the water here, there are royal palms. Royal palms can't even really take 25 degrees, let alone 14. So there's going to be some devastation for plants here.
Continued cold as we go into Tuesday morning.
Look at this. Look at Houston. It was down to 1 degrees right there. Look at this.
Tuesday morning. Houston
well, believe me, it was
down
at
to
1 degree.
4 for your wind chill value. This means it's dangerous. You don't want to spend much time outside. Now, these are actual temperatures, and we are going to set records in many places because the actual numbers are so cold. And I want to point out Dallas. Look at this, 1 on Tuesday morning. Dallas, the last time you dropped below 5 was 88 years ago. And that just shows you how significant this cold air is. And as we look down the line, it looks like cold air is going to be sticking around for a lot of us.
So that's what's going on there. And, I feel for everyone growing plants in this region. It's going to happen on Monday, or the extreme forecasted lows. Like we can look up like Austin, Texas. I know in Austin, they grow queen palms there. They struggle, but they grow, which tells me that the temperatures are generally staying above 20 degrees. And we get the 10-day forecast. Look, it's 31 degrees there right now. We get the 10-day forecast for Austin. And look at this. So, queen palms cannot survive temperatures of less than 15 degrees, period, in my mind. They're going to get that twice, tomorrow and the next day. And so this is a very sad day for tropical plants in Texas and the surrounding areas where this freeze is heading. So I just want to tell everybody I'm sorry that this is happening. And the bougainvillea, the hibiscus, all that stuff is going to get vaporized. The really hardy palms should be okay. Some of the brahias, obviously the Mediterranean should be okay. Trachycarpus. You might, it's just, this happened to us in 1989. It was just horrific. My very first year landscaping, I talked these people into like putting a whole subtropical garden in, some friends of ours. And then guess what happened? The coldest freeze ever came, like 6 months later, in the wintertime, and almost everything died. And I thought, am I stupid for wanting to grow subtropical plants here? Is this what's going to happen every year? Of course, it hasn't happened since here, but it's happening. And it's happening in a big way in the next couple of days in Texas. So anyway, I'm going to post this video right now. And anybody in Texas right now, if you haven't, you must know about this. But if you don't, you need to do everything you can to protect your plants. If they're in containers, you can knock them over. You can throw tarps on them. You can throw big jugs of water under the tarps to help with the moderating of the temperatures. You can throw straw on your plants. You can tie them all up. If they're big, tall palm trees, there's not much you can do. You could run your sprinklers, I don't know, at 7 degrees. It seems like sprinklers just freeze up. I don't know. This is really a sad day in horticulture for some tropical horticulture for the people who live down there. So I feel for you, and I'm really sorry if you lose some plants because of this. And I'd love to see some comments about what you think about this polar vortex phenomenon. what's happening in Texas right now is exactly what they explained through this global warming induced polar vortex thing that's going to drive extremely cold air into the South United States and southeastern United States. And that's all I know on it. I would like to learn some more. If anybody knows about that, give me your opinions. And the only good thing is that when freezes like this come, there's a lot of new species out there, and some of the species have not been cold tested to the extreme, and there will be a lot of data created after this kind of event. There are far more exotic plants there now of many different species and sizes and locations than there were in these previous historic freezes. There was one in 89 that was extreme. The same freeze that got us got them in 89. And I think that there's been a few other freezes too. There's a really bad one in 1888. Obviously, there wasn't much there in 1888. But now there's a lot of material there. We can get a lot of information on how these things perform, and it'll just add to the data bank of, what's possible in those regions. And the theory, though, is that something like this shouldn't really determine what you use in your landscape because it only happens once every 30, 40 years. And my theory is that you should always have keystone plants be hardy enough to withstand something like this, but then have another layer of plants out in the gardens that are extremely beautiful, albeit more tender. And they, I've had plants out in my garden out here. I'll show you right now. I planted these king palms. These king palms are not supposed to be here. They got damaged a few times, but now they're just thriving. See, like a sago palm, that's a keystone plant that'll never get hurt by a freeze here. Brahea brandegii will never get hurt by a freeze here. These king palms, rather, they're pretty tender and they could get wiped out, but they haven't. Obviously, you see like 20 years in the ground and they were damaged a few times, but nothing severe enough to kill them. And now when they get older, they seem to get even hardier. But yeah, you want to try to plant your cold hardy stuff so that you can weather a freeze like this. But you shouldn't be afraid to add some spice to the garden and make it a little more diverse in using the subtropical stuff. So anyway, that's kind of the story. That's my theory on gardening. It would be interesting to see what kind of stories people have about what survived, what died, under what temperatures, and all the crazy things that are about to happen. So anyway, I feel for you guys in Texas. I'm really sorry this is happening, but I had to somehow acknowledge it. And good luck with the freeze, and that's all I can say. I guess just closing, bundle up.